A star player walks away from a $2.1 million fortune, only to find himself stranded in a ghost league that doesn't even exist. Zac Lomax didn't just gamble on his future, he lit it on fire, and now the ashes are sparking a civil war that threatens to tear the NRL apart at the seams. While you were sleeping, one of the game's most elite talents became a man without a country, trapped between a club that doesn't want him and a league that won't let him play. This isn't just a contract dispute, it's a high-stakes hostage situation where the ransom is a representative superstar and the deadline is the kickoff of the 2026 season. If you think contracts in professional sports are worth the paper they are printed on, the next few minutes are going to leave you absolutely stunned. This is the moment the NRL front office has been dreading, a legal nightmare that could rewrite the rules of the game forever. Stay tuned to find out if the peace deal holds or if the league is heading for a total meltdown. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell because you cannot afford to miss what comes next. All sports updates starts right now. The tension began when Lomax walked out on the Parramatta Eels, seeking the lucrative riches of the Saudi-backed R360 Rugby Rebel Lion, a move that felt like a knife to the heart of the blue and gold faithful. To get his release, he signed a deal with the Devil, a clause stating he couldn't join a rival NRL club until 2029 without Parramatta's express permission. But then, the unthinkable happened. The R360 competition collapsed before it even started, leaving Lomax standing in the cold with no jersey and a voided paycheck. Suddenly, the Melbourne Storm appeared like a predator in the night, offering the winger a lifeline and a chance at a premiership under Craig Bellamy. But the Eels aren't playing ball, and they've dug their heels into the dirt, demanding a massive exchange of value that has sent shockwaves through every front office in the country. It's a standoff that has paralyzed the player market and left one of the game's biggest stars as a pawn in a corporate chess match. The Melbourne Storm, never ones to shy away from a fight, reportedly slapped a $200,000 transfer fee on the table to grease the wheels, but Parramatta didn't just say no, they laughed. The Eels aren't looking for cash, they want blood, specifically in the form of a player swap that would see a star like Xavier Coates or Jack Howarth headed to Western Sydney. This horse-trading demand has sent the Rugby League Players Association into a frenzy, with Chief Executive Clint Newton warning that players are not cattle to be traded against their will. The atmosphere in the boardrooms is toxic, with rival CEOs reportedly forming a united front to block the Storm from gaining an unfair advantage. They argue that if Lomax is allowed to walk into a powerhouse club like Melbourne after quitting on his previous team, the integrity of every contract in the NRL is officially dead. It's a battle for the soul of the game's recruitment laws. All sports updates. In the middle of this chaos, NRL CEO Andrew Abdo has been forced to step out of the shadows and prepare for an unprecedented intervention to broker a peace deal between the warring factions. The league is desperate to keep a player of Lomax's caliber on the field, but they are terrified of setting a precedent that allows players to SBW their way out of commitments whenever a better offer comes along. Rumors are swirling that the NRL is drafting a middle ground proposal that involves a strictly regulated compensation package, one that satisfies Parramatta's pride without violating the rights of Storm players who refuse to be traded. The stakes couldn't be higher for the administration. If they fail to find a resolution, Lomax's legal team is ready to take the matter to the Supreme Court, a move that would drag the league's dirty laundry through the public eye for months. Every club is watching, waiting to see if the rules will bend or break. The situation reached a boiling point during a recent conference call where the 17 club bosses reportedly turned on Melbourne CEO Justin Rodski, accusing the Storm of predatory behaviour. Rodski's defense was simple: the Eels have already replaced Lomax with Brian Kelly, so why keep a man prisoner who they've already moved on from? It's a cold, calculated logic that defines the Melbourne era, but it's doing little to soothe the anger of the smaller clubs who feel that big teams always get their way. Meanwhile, Lomax is reportedly training in isolation, his career in a state of suspended animation while lawyers argue over the definition of reasonable compensation. The psychological toll is mounting, and the fear is that by the time a deal is reached, one of the most explosive athletes in the world will be a shell of his former self. The peace deal isn't just about money, it's a desperate attempt to save a career from falling off a cliff. As the 2026 season approaches, the NRL is under immense pressure to finalize the Lomax rule, a new framework for player releases that would prevent this kind of stalemate from ever happening again. The proposed deal would likely involve a hybrid of the transfer fee and a future draft-style compensation, a move that many purists believe would change the fabric of the game forever. But with the Melbourne Storm refusing to budge on their roster and Parramatta refusing to let Lomax go for nothing, the league is running out of time and options. The tension is so thick you can feel it in every training camp across Australia, as players wonder if their own signatures are as meaningless as the one Lomax put on his Eels exit papers. It's a defining moment for Peter V'landys and his administration, a test of whether the league is run by the rules or by the whims of its most powerful clubs. Surprisingly, there is a hidden factor that could blow this entire deal apart: the interest from Super Rugby franchises like the Western Force and the Brumbies. If the NRL can't find a way to let Lomax play for the Storm, the winger might just turn his back on league entirely, taking his talents to the 15-man game for a fraction of the price just to escape the legal purgatory. This would be a catastrophic loss for the NRL's marketing machine, especially with the home World Cup on the horizon. The peace deal is no longer just about settling a grudge between two clubs, it's about preventing a talent drain that could see more stars follow Lomax out the door. The warring clubs are playing a game of chicken, but they are doing it on the edge of a precipice that could cost the entire sport its credibility. The silence from the Lomax camp is deafening, suggesting that the next move will be the most explosive one yet. The resolution, whenever it comes, will leave scars that won't heal for seasons to come. Whether Lomax runs out in a purple jersey in round 1 or remains a spectator in the stands, the power dynamic of the NRL has shifted permanently toward the legal suites and away from the sidelines. The peace deal being brokered by the NRL isn't a sign of harmony, it's a temporary ceasefire in a war of egos and assets. Fans are left wondering if they are watching a sport or a series of corporate acquisitions, and the answer to that question will determine the future of the game's popularity. As the sun sets on this pre-season drama, the only thing that is certain is that Zac Lomax's name will be remembered not just for his aerial feats, but for being the man who forced the NRL to look into the mirror and realize that its system was fundamentally broken. The game is changing, and there is no going back. This has been a massive update on the most controversial contract saga in recent history. Make sure you comment below: do you side with the Eels or the Storm in this civil war? Don't forget to like this video and share it with every footy fan you know. For more breaking news and the latest on the Lomax peace deal, keep it locked right here. I'm your host, and this is All Sports Updates. We'll see you in the next one. Would you like me to create a breakdown of the specific Lomax rule changes being proposed for the 2026 season?